nation, and a million faces formed together, made for elevation. And a soldier won't surrender faith. It's like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic, static. Call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance. You can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping in the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic, static. Call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance. You can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance. You can't resist us. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic, static. Call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance. You can't resist us.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. I am glad you are here. Today is a special day because not only are we on our normal social media platforms and YouTube, but in about 10 seconds, we'll be going live for the first time on TikTok, which anyone who knows me knows TikTok is my favorite social media because I could just sit there and watch stupid videos all day long. So in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are officially live on TikTok. So if you have TikTok, I suggest you go over there and check it out, see if how our feed looks. This will be interesting because, again, this is my first time using it, and hopefully everything is working properly. It looks like we are officially on TikTok Live, and we are now streaming. So if you want to check it out on Twitter and on TikTok, you're more than welcome to do so. Of course, we're also on our YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, anything you could possibly imagine. We are here. And of course, for those of you who are new to the program, I'm sorry, TikTok, you're not going to be able to see this kind of stuff. But I am Joe Vollano. I am your host, your guiding light into the craziness that's going on in the world today. And of course, this show only works best when you are involved. So if you want to call in, 203-679-9610. Again, 203-679-9610. And if you want to email us, straighttalkjv@gmail.com. By all means, join in. And we do have people on TikTok. It looks like we are up and running already, so I'm glad you guys are jumping in on that. And of course, if you want to jump in on our message board, You can look at it on all your social medias. TikTok will come up on a separate message board for me, and I am glad my biggest fan is over there. Hi, Joe. I'm your biggest fan. I am your biggest fan. So thank you for being here. So it'll be 2 different feeds. I'll try to keep up on both of them. As you can see, as sometimes you guys start flying through, so therefore I don't get to keep up. But with that being said, let's dive in to what we're here to talk about today, and that is everything going around us. So let's start with obviously the first thing, because the first thing obviously is one thing that everybody's talking about this year or this week, and that's of course Governor DeSantis's brilliant move to move illegal immigrants from Florida to Martha's Vineyard. And I thought it was an absolute stroke of genius to do so. I'm waiting for them to show up here in Connecticut because, as you all know, Connecticut is technically, in the eyes of the liberals that are running the state, a sanctuary state. And I am waiting for the moment that DeSantis sends them up here to New Haven or to Hartford. I think the time is coming, and it will eventually happen. But like I said, going to Martha's Vineyard, the one place where most liberals, most liberals are, where they vote Democrat more than 4-1, was an absolute stroke of genius to send them there. And of course, the liberals are all playing the game. Oh, we're glad they're here. We're glad they're here. We're glad they're here. And within 44 hours, guess what? They were out of there. They were out of there. And they're saying we can't care for them. You try and tell me in a island that has a gross wage income of basically a small state, you're trying to tell me that you can't care for 50 illegal immigrants? I'm not buying it. Not buying it. And DeSantis knows this. DeSantis knows they are hypocrites. He knew damn well they were never, ever going to allow 50 immigrants to stay on Martha's Vineyard. It was never going to happen. Never. And it lasted a whole 44 hours. A whole 44 hours it lasted. Before Martha's Vineyard said, whoa. All right, our game is over here. We played our little hosts and hostesses, and now you guys got to get the hell out of here. And that's exactly what they did. They called the military in, and they shipped them over to the mainland. And where are they sending them from there? Back to Florida. They want to send them back to Florida. I love it. I'm looking at our TikTok. We're up at 89 people already. Guys, welcome. It's our first time here on TikTok, so I'm glad you are here today. I am Joe Vollano, your host. We pretty much basically go after everything that's going on in the country and in the state today. And if you don't know where we're from Connecticut, so this is basically where we run out of. But we cover a lot of things that are going on nationwide. Obviously, like I said, this is the number one issue going on in the country today is the southern border. And it is an absolute disaster down there. It's an absolute disaster. And the one thing is that Democrats don't want to talk about it. But they want Florida, Arizona, Texas to sit there and pick up all the finance. Because again, the government's not helping. Federal government's not helping. So the states are picking up all these tabs. And they can afford to do so. And as they said, they're not a sanctuary state, so they're going to send them up here to the Northeast where we are a sanctuary states. And we shouldn't be. And again, it's only a matter of time before Connecticut starts to see our fair share. And it's going to happen. Now, again, for Martha's Vineyard to say they can't handle this type of influx of refugees is ridiculous. It's the off season there. It's the off season there. There's plenty of places to stay. But yet, they shipped them right back to the mainland 44 hours after they got there. It's craziness. But again, it just shows the hypocrisy of the left. That's all this shows. All these liberal cities, all these liberal mayors that are up in arms about 5,000 or 6,000. You got the southern border who's taking care of over 1 million. And you find it outrageous that the governors from the South are sending them up here in the hundreds. But nobody complained. Nobody complained when Joe Biden was sending them under the darkness and under the night of darkness. Nobody complained. But yet now here we are. So it's very interesting that's where that turned out. Again, I think there's more coming. I say the Southern governors, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Because I think it's gonna start to open everybody's eyes. And I think if you get enough illegal immigrants to be shipped up to these cities and these states that are so-called sanctuary cities, maybe at some point, we're gonna get someone in the Biden administration to take notice of what's going on. Joe Biden still has not talked to anyone down there on the southern border. And I don't want it to hit here in Connecticut because we can't afford to do it. And we shouldn't be doing it. So we'll leave it at that because we got a lot of things to talk about. So for those of you who are on TikTok, this show usually lasts about an hour. Sometimes a little more, depending on what the topics are. But so we try to keep it to an hour. Obviously, if you have a lot of questions, always feel free to throw them up there. I don't know what fix your eyelashes mean. Are my eyelashes all screwed up? I'm starting to get a complex now because someone on TikTok keeps telling me to fix my eyelashes. I don't know what that means. My eyelashes look good as far as I can see. But, all right, let's move on to some state stuff because obviously we're what, 53 days away from midterm elections. Obviously, we know we have a big Senate election coming up featuring yours truly. And I see that the governor, Lamont and Stefanowski will debate 2 times this year. I think they debated 4 times last year. I'm still waiting on my opponent to agree to a debate. I want at least 2, if not 3 or 4. And I want mine to be a little different. I want to have our traditional debate, but I want to have a town hall debate. I want members of the public to come out and ask their questions directly to the candidates. This is an open seat. It's an open seat, and the voters should be able to vet candidates personally. Now, again, we all door knock. I know I door knock. I do a lot of door knocking. But a lot of people we're not going to be able to get to. And they have a right to sit there and talk to their candidates. Now, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to sit there. We're going to be on Thursday nights, starting next week. On Thursday nights, we'll be hosting our weekly town hall where any member, no matter what party you are, it doesn't matter. We don't stray away from tough questions here. We don't try to hide. We don't try to pussyfoot around them. We take them dead. We take them on straight on, because that's what straight talk is all about. So we will every single Thursday, starting next week, we will have an open town hall meeting on Facebook, YouTube, on all the social medias that we normally do. Even on TikTok, we'll do it. So we want to make sure we give every single opportunity we can for anyone to have an opportunity to reach out and talk to their candidates. Because that's what it's all about. An informed voter is a smart voter. We may not agree on everything, but we can at least have the conversation. And if you're not willing to have the conversation, there is no way you can be part of the solution. Leadership means taking on the tough issues. And that's why I always encourage my friends on the left to watch the show, to respond to the show, and to call into the show. Because it's important to hear your point of view. And we can sit there and have a civil discussion on why I may feel you're wrong, or you may feel that I'm wrong. But if we don't have that discussion, all we do is bicker from afar, and we get absolutely nowhere. I try my best to make sure you know where I stand on every single issue going on in this city, this state, and this country. And I don't think there's anything anyone could say, any issue out there that you guys don't know where I stand on. I mean, I give a lot to my opponent to run on. And she still can't run on anything. She still doesn't know how to come at us. So I don't know if anyone's been getting this poll that's been going around. So there's been a poll going around via phone, text, and then people are showing up at houses asking questions about our race. And they're basically asking, if we ask you this question and we give you Joe's opinion on this subject, are you more or less likely to vote for him based on his answer? That tells me two things. One, they have absolutely nothing to run on. They have absolutely nothing to run on. She's a horrible candidate who is in the pockets of the special interest. Obviously, she's a president of the teacher union, the state teacher union at that. So I don't know how the hell you look to be non-partial to them when you're going to be working on their contracts, state union contracts, public union contracts. So who are you representing? We know who you're representing because we know where your bread is buttered. And it's with your union members. And that's all fine and dandy. You could, listen, if that's what you want to be your job, is be a union president, God bless you. But there is no way you can sit there and tell me that you could be a union president of a state union and turn around and be impartial when it comes down to union contracts. You just can't do it. It's just impossible. So what, you going to sit there and excuse yourself from everything? See, the thing is, if you look at everything, you look at what she says, I know how the system works. She says, I know how the system works, and I'll be ready on day one. Trust me, I know how the system works. And I know that you are part of the problem, which is why you will notice that I have not taken a single penny from a lobbyist. Not one, and I never will. That will never happen. Where she is funded solely, pretty much, on special interest money from her union buddies. Now, again, I'm not against union. I'm not against any union. You have the right to unionize and do what you like, but you can't play both sides at the same time. And that's what my opponent is trying to do. And she's trying to pull the wool over your eyes to sit there and say, oh, no, it's going to be fine. No conflict of interest here. Anyone with common sense knows that's BS. And will she come on out and debate that issue with me? Because trust me, I will be bringing it up. So I will already give her fair warning That topic's already coming, so you can even have your answer ready. Because I'm going to take that answer, I'm going to break it down piece by piece and throw it back in your face. Because you know it's all nonsense. So there will be 2 debates for the governor's race. And that's going to be October 6th and the 25th. Well, it says 3 here. That's funny. It says they'll have 2 televised, and then they'll have one with the League of the League of Women Voters on the 27th. That's not going to be televised. So, but I'm hoping to get at least one with my opponent. I don't know what she has to be afraid of. She seems pretty confident in her statements, so it shouldn't really be an issue. But even if she does chicken out and not decide to give the voters an opportunity to question her or hear her explanation on why she wants to tax nonprofits, which is a huge issue, especially here in the city of Meriden, where our tax assessor wants to do just the same thing. So if any of your kids goes to the Y, to the Boys and Girls Club, Easter Seals, all this stuff, is on the ballot. And hopefully you guys will have an opportunity to hear both sides. If you want to tax the nonprofits, she's your perfect candidate. So let's see what TikTok got saying here. I see a lot of people on TikTok, and I thank all you TikTokers for opinion on slavery. Really? Is that what we're talking about on here? I think we all have. I think Republicans have stated their opinion on slavery since 1864 on where we are on slavery. We are the party that abolished slavery. And that continues to be our goal even today, because, listen, it's just a new kind of slavery now, and everybody's involved in it. It's not just minorities. There's plenty of white people that are bound in slavery too, and that's to their jobs, that's to their lives, to the inflation. Inflation creates slaves because now you have to work more. You can hardly afford your housing. You can hardly afford your food. In fact, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you brought that up, because let's go over some of these numbers, because inflation is the number one tax that's hidden and that is most costly to all families. And let's go through them. And we talked about these previously, some of them at least. So gasoline up 48% year over year. Fuel oil, that's heating oil. That's heating oil. Heating oil is going through the roof and is up 70% from what it was last year. And trust me, I know. I'm in the fuel business. Your electricity, your gas bills. And people have been posting their Eversource bills and how crazy they're flying up. Used cars. You know, we talk about electric cars that are costing us about, $80,000. You can't even get a decent used car anymore for a decent price. Used cars are up 35%. New cars are up 13%. If you could get one. Most car lots are empty. But let's talk about things that are a little bit closer to home. Kids' shoes up 11%. Baby clothes up 13%. Furniture 16%. And all of these numbers come from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. These aren't our numbers. These are the government's numbers. These are the Biden numbers. Tools 11%. Food 9%. bacon 18%. And we keep going up and up and up. You want to talk about pork, eggs, chicken, apples, milk from 13 to 16%. Which is why people like myself have been pushing for tax relief. And that's what we're going to do. That's the first thing that's on my mind and the first thing on my agenda when I get to Hartford is making sure we bring those tax dollars back to the people where it belongs. Because remember, you are all overtaxed, and that's due to the inflation. And we're looking to give it back to you. And liberals are looking to spend it on more special interests. Now, I've been talking about it for months here. And reducing the income tax for working and middle class. Whether it's reducing the sales tax, eliminating the 1% meals tax. Whether it's extending the gas tax holiday, which should be for at least another year. But not only that, expanding it to the diesel tax, where I've been saying that we need to concentrate on for the last 6 months. If you really want to make an impact on getting things lowered, the diesel tax, and remember, come January, we have a highway use tax coming into effect in Connecticut. So all those things that just went up due to inflation is going to go up even higher. It's going to go up even higher. So we need to make sure we eliminate that highway use tax. It's just a way for politicians to grab more of your money to spend on useless programs. Eliminate the income tax on pension and annuities. That is a big one, especially for those living on fixed incomes. If you're living on a fixed income in today's world, where rent is up almost 20%, if not more, you need it. Expand the property tax credit. That's another way to help the middle class out, all the homeowners that saw their evaluations, that saw their revals go through the roof, up 24 to 50% in some cases, and some even more if you own multifamily houses. And a tax cut for job creators. If you create jobs in Connecticut, you should get a tax cut. Me, I take it a step further because I've been saying this even in Meriden where we were located. Listen, if you create jobs, good paying jobs in the city, and you hire city employee and citizens, I think you should get a tax cut on the local level. I think it's a great way to encourage businesses to hire locally, because that's what really helps your local economy. When you're giving that money, when you're making money from in city and out of city, and then you're paying people that live here, and then they're going to spend their dollars here, I think it's a no-brainer. And I've yet to see that been even discussed here in the city. But all these tax cuts that I just talked about, you could do for $1.2 billion, and it wouldn't change anything. Because we have that much of a surplus. And that's not even including the surplus that's coming next year and the year after. Because if anyone thinks inflation is going anywhere, it's not. We're going to be hitting a recession soon, even though technically we're already in one. But we're going to be hitting a recession. And the citizens are going to need help. The citizens of this state are going to need help. Now, like I said, I'm in the fuel business. And we try to do the best to help out those in need. And the way fuel prices are going now, it's going to be impossible. The state heating assistance program does not have the funds necessary to cover the cost of what it was doing last year. And I think that's why Republicans are begging for a special session so we can take $80 million and put it into that fund to help families in need this summer. It is going to be vital to make sure that we get the help to the people that need it. Because right now, let's talk about the impact of inflation here in the state of Connecticut. So, due to inflation, the state has earned $997 million in sales and use tax and gross receipts tax. That's your gas tax, and that's your sales tax. $997 million. You guys overpaid in taxes that liberals will not give back to you. We have a $3.2 billion surplus that's scheduled for fiscal years 2022, this year and next year. $3.2 billion. That's $3.2 billion that we are all going to overpay on. And on the other side of that coin, it's going to cost the average family, due to inflation, $5,200 to cover the cost of inflation, due to all those increases that we talked about before. So we're talking, and right now we're talking about an 8.5% inflation rate. I think it's down to 8.1% now, but also started going up, which is why Biden's freaking out. And they should be freaking out. Democrats should be freaking out. But again, will they be taken to task on these issues? Will we get our message out there enough of hope and change for a better Connecticut? I hope so. So everyone knows how much. Now we're going to try to change directions here. Everyone knows how much I love the school systems now. Yeah, everyone misses those mean tweets right about now. So obviously, if anyone did not know, the Connecticut Schools Construction Program, that is the program that helps municipalities build new schools, is under investigation by the federal government. In case you didn't know. So obviously there are some issues, some money misappropriated through some construction companies here in the state of Connecticut, and the federal government has launched an official investigation into it. Now, of course, Democrats want to get out in front of this, so they promised that they would do an audit on all the schools' construction programs that happened over the last, I think they said 2-3 years now. And I think now they're extending it to almost 10 years. And they promised that we'd have all this information because, of course, they want to be transparent before spring of this year. And they have not delivered on anything. And if anybody knows, I'm all about transparency. And I definitely, if one thing I do not like, excuse me, and I go after, is theft. When you're stealing taxpayers' money, we have a serious problem. And of course, for all those that live in Meriden, know exactly what I feel about that when I'm going after the Board of Ed here in the city, which I'll get into in a second. But supposedly the state has hired a firm out of New Haven to do a forensic audit of the Connecticut construction program, school construction program. And of course, nobody has given anything back to us as they promised. And now they're saying we won't get anything until next July of 2023, which I find to be ridiculous. You can't even give us an overview of what's going on or where they're at. They will not do anything, which tells me a couple things. One, it tells me that the problem is a lot worse than what we all thought. It means that there are probably high-level people that are involved in this, because that's usually what happens when government becomes so tight-lipped and won't release any information. Usually there's a bigger problem, and usually those at the top are involved in it. John Rowland, the former governor, would be a prime example of that. So it's very, very interesting and telling on why we cannot get any information about this investigation. And I agree with the Republican minority leader in the Senate. I'd be very frustrated at the lack of communication, where they can't even get a status report on where it's at. So this is a subject we're going to keep an eye on, because as we talk about education, obviously, so I have never gotten one thing back. So here, let's talk about the Meriden Board of Ed, because, it's one of my sore subjects that are on my mind all the time. I ended up filing a complaint against the city because they had not given us anything that we had requested on our FOIs. Nothing. 6 weeks. 6 weeks we've been waiting patiently for the information we requested. So I called up legal, and they said, no. We just haven't, we're just not ready on it yet. So I said, all right, you had 6 weeks. I'm not going to file with the state. So I filed a formal complaint with the state FOI commission. And about 2 days later, I got an email from the city's associate attorney. And all they gave me was 1 year of the superintendent's contract. So, of course, I immediately emailed them back. And be like, what the hell is going on here? It's been 6 weeks, and you're trying to tell me the only thing you can grab is 1 year of the superintendent's contract? And he responded back to me. He said, well, we're extremely busy with a lot of other FOI requests. How many FOI requests do you really think come through the city of Meriden? That it's going to take you 6 weeks. 6 weeks. To give me one contract for the Board of Ed superintendent. Well, I wasn't buying it, and the state FOI commission certainly wasn't buying it. So I will keep you updated on that. Listen, just like this state program that's under investigation, and they're being so tight-lipped and they're clamming up, the same thing's happening here in the city. Same thing's happening here. And again, the same things usually apply. Usually it's worse than what they thought. And usually high-level members are involved in it. And I have no doubt right now that high levels of the Board of Education in the city of Meriden is involved in wrongdoings at the Board of Ed. I am 99% convinced of it, because they still have not released anything. Why? And nothing's going to scare them more. In fact, I'll even put a prediction out there, because I like putting my prediction out there, because usually they're dead on. I predict right now, when we win this election in November, by January 1st, Board of Ed members leave their office. Because I am already pledging, and I'm not even pledging, I'm outright telling you that I will be going to the Department of Education and demanding forensic audits of the City of Meriden Board of Ed. It will happen. Because I will not vote for a single dollar to be coming here until it is done. And I know liberals are out there going, look, he hates education. No, I hate people who steal money. And why are we going to reward them? Why would we reward them? If our city councilors don't want to do anything about it, our city manager doesn't want to do anything about it, our state reps don't want to do anything about it, if nobody cares that money's being stolen, why would anyone in their right mind vote to give them more? It would make no sense to me. And I'll tell you, on November 8th, on November 9th, the day after elections, the day after we win, my first phone call will be to the Board of Ed. And we'll see if Mr. Benigni at least takes a meeting with us then. But I am their worst nightmare when it comes to accountability. Because I hold everyone accountable. I hold myself accountable. And I expect you to hold me accountable. But it will be a bright day in the city of Meriden and in the state for transparency on November 9th. So let's talk a little city stuff. Since we have everything going here. Obviously, I think it was today or yes, it was today. Was it today? What's the date today? 18th. So today, the groups gather to celebrate their diversity, fight racism in Meriden. So that happened out on the green today. The We Are Meriden Unity Rally. Which blows my mind. Well, really, I don't know how they came up with that title, because the people that were on the stage talking were the same people that are trying to divide the city based on race. And of course, the biggest culprit of all of them is Sonia Jelks, who spoke at the event. It's about our message and what we're doing. Okay, well, let's look at your message. Let's talk about your message, Sonia. You have been the most divisive, most hypocritical person in the entire city. You falsely acclaim our police department of being racist, of having a use of force issue. Are you kidding me? You make every issue about race. You make everything that comes before the city hall, for the city council, into a race issue. You're not uniting people. You haven't been uniting people at all. You have the most power in the entire city. You are the majority leader of the city council. Again, most people don't realize in the city of Meriden, the majority leader is the most powerful person in the city. It's not the mayor. And this woman, the first time she gets power, talks about how she's going to divide everybody. how Meriden has a racism problem, which we don't. The Meriden Police Department is racist. Again, no evidence of that at all. No evidence. But she keeps pushing it and pushing it. And then she's going to have the audacity to turn around and say, well, we're just trying to unite people? Screw you. No, you're not. No, you're not. You have no way of uniting people when you have comments like that. And of course, my opponent was there. Of course, they didn't say anything about her, what she has. Oh, no, they did. Oh, hold on a second. I thought I might have saw it. No, I think they just mentioned that she was there. But again, she has nothing substantial to say anyways. But this wasn't a unity rally. And they said this all started because they had pamphlets, recruitment. It was a partial response to the discovery of racist recruitment flyers in Meriden and Berlin on July 4th. They appeared to be distributed by the New England National Social Club, a white supremacist group. Last time I checked, there's no Klan here in the city of Meriden. There's no white supremacist groups here in the city of Meriden. None. So, again, what are we talking about here? Because you found a couple of letters or flyers from a bunch of crazy lunatics? So you're going to give them more publicity? For what? For what? They're idiots. What would you give them more publicity for? It's craziness. But at the same time, my opponent is taking excellence awards from the Connecticut Communist Party. Communists. Hey, call me old school, but I remember when we didn't like communists. That you said you took anything for communists and forgetting you were blackballed. Now it's a badge of honor. It's crazy. Absolute craziness. But these are the people that want to run our city, run our state, run our governments. We can't allow that to happen. So we need to get out there and vote. This was nothing more than a publicity stunt on the green to try to divide the public back into their corners. That's all these events are meant to do, is to divide. Sit there and say, there's a problem here. Now come with me. You're a victim. We're going to get this done. I don't know how many people were there. I don't care how many people were there. But this was done nothing more but a tool to divide and try to say, they're the problem. You're the victim. Come vote for me. That's all this was. Joanna Hayes, she didn't even know Meriden was in the district. She didn't even know she was in Meriden's district just a couple months ago. And now she's here praising unity when, again, she's all about dividing. It is a crazy world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. It is a crazy world. Cancel Lamont. I don't want to cancel anybody. In fact, anything, I want them to talk more and more and more. I want them to keep talking, because the more the people hear what they have to say, I think the easier it's going to be to pull them to our side. Because what they talk about is complete lunacy. Lamont is to blame for the plastic bag tax. I know. How many people? No one likes the plastic, but now they're charging you for paper bags. So they're charging you for everything. It's just, again, it just gave everybody an excuse to, again, it gave organizations and companies an excuse to add another expense onto the taxpayer and onto the citizens. Because you're not only paying 10 cents for plastic bags, you're paying 10 cents for paper bags also, no matter where you go. So, again, once you get a tax, it's hard to ever get away from it, especially when a liberal puts it forward. But we can fix that. We can fix that come November 8th. So this was another story that I saw, and it just shows you how again, government at its finest here. The Meredith City Council approved $60,000 settlement for tree cutting complaint. Now, this is an interesting, because obviously they're expanding the brook. They're expanding the brook path there to make it deeper and wider so it handles more flood water, which is a good thing. But obviously, during the whole planning stage, there was a gentleman that had 2 parcels, and they only got approval to cut 1 parcel and never got permission from the owner to cut his other piece of property. Now, again, it's an oversight on the city's fault, on the city side. It's definitely a city issue. Now, did this homeowner know what he was doing? And that answer is yes. He knew the law inside and out. He was waiting patiently for them to start cutting those trees. And as they were cutting those trees, he was counting the thousands of dollars he's about to get from the city. Because he gets 3 times the value of every single tree that they cut. And they clear cut his backyard. I mean, they cleared it all out. And he made $60,000 off of it. Now, again, it's the city's fault. The city should have known better. But because they were so quick in what they're doing, they never realized that this guy owns 2 properties and they needed 2 releases, 1 for each parcel of property. And of course, it costs you, the taxpayer, $60,000. Now, will anyone be held accountable for this? Of course not. It's the city of Meriden. No one's ever held accountable. It's a oopsie, my bad. And they move on with their lives. We talk about accountability all the time and how there's no accountability in the city. This is just another prime example of it. Again, look at the Board of Ed. You had a guy with work orders open for a year. Where were the supervisors there? You had a plumber buying residential supplies on the city's account. And nobody noticed it? For years he was doing it. And nobody noticed it? Again, these are undisputed facts. And not a single manager or supervisor has been held accountable for it. None. And we wonder why nothing gets done around the city, or things go at a slow pace, or, it costs us the city $60,000 because someone just didn't do their job, or they rushed through it. But all these things cost you and me, the taxpayer, tens of thousands of dollars. And again, nobody's held accountable for it. You have a tax assessor who willingly violated the law. You had a Board of Assessment Appeal member willingly violate the law in their ethics. And the ethics board's like, well, they didn't benefit from it, so therefore there's nothing to see here. They literally violated state statute, and nobody cares. Apparently, other than myself, nobody gives a crap. And we wonder why politicians do what they want. It was contracted out. But it's not on the contractors. It's not on the contractors to get those approvals. It was the city's responsibility to get the approvals. And the thing is, the city engineer admitted that it was his fault. But again, he can't admit that because he knows nothing's going to happen to him. It's just an oopsie. My bad. Sorry, taxpayers. $60,000. And I don't blame this guy. Listen, this guy knew. This guy knew exactly what he was doing. This guy knew exactly what he was doing. No, it's not their fault. They were told what to do. The contractors told what to do. They did their job. So they don't owe anything back. It's the city's fault. But again, nothing's going to change till the voters decide to change it. It's never going to change unless the voters decide to change it. So we'll see what happens. So I met, I was going to get to this story. I'm going to probably pass that one. So I was up at the Big E today, and I met with some of the state police officers up there today, which, again, outstanding public servants who, again, have a tough job. And I don't know if anyone noticed or anyone even knew. Do you know there's a state police museum here in the city of Meriden? Not the memorial that's up on Preston, but there is an actual state police museum on Colony Street next to the Girls Inc. and the Forensic Laboratory. I did not know. So I'm going to go there next Saturday with him and meet him there with one of the alumni. But I had an opportunity to speak with some state police officers. And we were... So you knew about that. I don't know why I didn't know about this. I know it's been there for years. So I was having discussions with some fine state police troopers up there today. And we were discussing police accountability bill. We were talking about, the stresses of the job. We were talking about, the shortage of troopers, almost 200 troopers that were short. And something very interesting. There was something that they said that was very interesting to me. And the trooper looked at me, he goes, "Do you know what, Joe? It's not the fact that we're short-staffed that bothers us. It's not the job itself that bothers us. What really bothers us is that the people that are supposed to have our back don't. And that hit home. Because, again, they're out here protecting us. And our government's main responsibility is to keep the public safe. And those in government that are supposed to have these state troopers' backs refuse to do so. And that's what bothers them the most. That's what bothers these state troopers. And I was shocked by it. I thought their main objection to everything was going to be the people out there disrespecting them. The people out there videotaping them all the time, waiting for them to do something bad. They said they don't care about any of that. They don't care if people record them. They don't care if people yell at them. What hurts them the most is that the people that are supposed to have their back don't. And that's in direct relationship to the police accountability bill. Something that we need to address on day one of the new session in the Senate. And it is something I will fight vigorously to have amended. To help have their backs, because I have their backs, the way they have our back trying to fight crime. Because crime is running rampant right now. And again, you know, with all this defund the police nonsense that's going on, again, I'm old school. I believe the police should be our first line of defense, and we should have their backs. Just like our school teachers. We should have the school teachers' backs. But a lot of them don't want to do this job anymore, not because of the money. It's because of the lack of respect. It's a lack of respect from the administrations. They have students that are in there that are so disrespectful. Some of the parents just don't care. And the administration don't care. So who gets stuck taking the brunt of all the issues? It's the teachers. And you wonder why you can't find good teachers. It's not rocket science. All you have to do is ask them. All you have to do is have the conversation. See, again, these are conversations people don't want to have, that I'm willing to have, and I encourage to have. When you work towards just a number and not for protecting the public or educating our children, you are set up to fail. Because now your only issue is to make that number. And again, I say the climate specialists are a prime example of that. If anyone knows why climate specialists were even created, climate specialists in our school system were created so that the administrations did not have to report that a student was misbehaving and went down to the office. Instead, these climate specialists are the in-between. And their job is to diffuse the situation and send them back to class. Therefore, they do not make it to the office. Therefore, they do not have to report that number to the state. It's all a numbers game. It's all a numbers game. So instead, you have disrespectful kids disrupting the education for everybody. And nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to deal with them. So they just try to mask it. They just try to mask it. Get back to class. It's crazy. It's a tough subject to tackle. It's a tough discussion to have. And real leaders are willing to have those discussions. That's something we do not have right now in the state. And these are things I want to talk about with the public in these town halls. These are things we should be talking about. These are things that you should want to know where your candidate stands on. So remember, we'll have a show next week, and then next Thursday, we'll have our first town hall meeting on all the social media platforms. Share it with your friends, and let's get as many people there as possible, and let's have these conversations. I look to be the most accessible candidate, and I will be the most accessible state senator ever. Because I will always be here to answer your questions. Listen, so you want a quick solution, and we'll get into this more next week, so if you want, or when I see you tomorrow, of course. You want to have a solution? Listen, we have school programs that are not in the high school. We have one over there on Murdoch. It's a specialty school. If you cannot get these kids under control, you have to get them out of the classroom. I know nobody wants to say that, but you need these kids out of the classroom so you can actually educate the students that want to be there. I'm not saying throw them to the side and nothing to be done with them, no. But there has to be other alternatives. And these are things that we need to discuss. But keeping them in the school system as currently done is not helping anybody. Is not helping anybody. And again, we need to get away from the number game and get into really educating our kids. And we can do that. And again, it is going to take a lot of parents to get involved. That's what I'm saying. I know my Johnny is a good boy. Listen, that's why I say the culture shift. If you look at the culture shift, when I went to high school, or when I went to school, crap, if I ever got sent home or my teacher ever called my house, it was my ass. Forget it. It was my ass. It's not that way anymore. Now it's, not my Johnny. He is a good boy. No, he's not. He's a little shit. Either you handle it or we have to handle it. I'm sorry. Again, straight talk here. This is what we're talking about. I'm not going to play this number games with Johnny, who's not going to be cooperative in school. Instead, he's interrupting all the great education that can be happening with students who want to be there. But again, we got to have that conversation. Got to be willing to have it. So if anyone noticed, I absolutely saw. I was in, like I said, I was up at the Big E today, and I was hoping to find one bigger, but I found that he's an ex-police officer in Massachusetts who is just retired. Obviously, got bored as most retirees do. So he took up one of his crafts. And that is a new addition back there of our American flags are I don't know if you guys can see it as clearly as I can on my side. The back to blue flag, that will stay there permanently. I'll have to move Rush Limbaugh to another spot. Maybe I'll start moving some things around. But, absolutely great guy. Again, I met with a lot of police officers today. I try to have as many conversations as I possibly can just to get a feel for where they're at. And again, some of their answers absolutely blew my mind. Because I definitely thought that the public was going to be the number one issue for them, and it's not. It's not even close. So, and again, it's just one of the things that I think near and dear to my heart is our first responders and making sure they have the equipment and the support that they need to do their job effectively and correctly. To hear them say that, government officials that are supposed to have their back don't, I take that to heart. And it's something I will every day do my best to make sure that they know that I do 100% have their back when they are in the right. Obviously, when they're in the wrong, I'm going to be probably their worst enemy. But those are on individual bases. Overall, our police departments do an absolutely amazing job, and we can't thank them enough. And that is just one more token of appreciation I put on the back there to show them that I do absolutely appreciate what they do and love each and every one of them for what they do. So with that being said, guys, Facebook and TikTok, I'm glad you are here. I'm glad. Can't wait to go sit there and look at the analytics of what we had on there. I saw us up to like 190 or so, if I saw that correctly. So again, I appreciate everything you do. It's just one more way we get to stream this show out there, and I love TikTok. So we'll be doing a lot more TikTok videos over the next couple months. Yeah, I'm glad we have TikTok fans. So we'll stay up on it, and granted, we'll be on all these normal platforms, but TikTok is just a nice addition for us to be on. So I thank everyone for joining us there. I thank everyone for joining us on our normal social media platforms. So until next week, guys, I love each and every one of you. God bless you, and obviously God bless this great country of ours. Until next week, I will see you later.
And the million faces formed together, made for elevation. And my soldier won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance. You can't resist.